Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where in honor of Halloween, which is tomorrow, we know that the only way to vanquish the army of darkness is to wield the Necronomicon and recite the words very carefully. Klaatu, Virata, Nickel, Necktie? Oh well, that's close enough. So today we're going to jump into a feature that we actually just did recently, but we have already added something to it. That's what we do around here. So we just keep improving. So let's jump into the DeltaNet and take a look. Specifically, we are going to take a look at the reverse prospecting report, which we went over a few weeks ago, a month ago, so pretty recently. But to get there, we're just going to go ahead and go to Customers and Customer Center. And then we will scroll down, pick the customer that we want to create this report for. We'll do the aptly named Jane Tester. Click on her name. That takes us to the profile page for that customer. And then if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we will find this AVMs section. And this allows us to create reverse prospecting reports. So what these reports do is you can put in an address, just a property address, and the system will return basically a kind of a number, and you'll see what it looks like. But basically it returns a representation of all of the customers that would see that property in one of their saved searches if that property was on the market. So the idea here is it is showing you real data for how many people currently in the system now running saved searches and invested in their property search might be interested in this property if it were listed on the market. With that idea in mind, or to that end, the idea is that originally this report would only return data for listings that weren't currently on the market. So if you typed in just an address for a random listing or for a prospect's listing that they haven't put on the market yet, you'd be able to get this report. But if you put in the address or an MLS ID of a currently listed listing, then it wouldn't be able to return any kind of report for you. So now it can. That's what we've added. So to see how this works, and you can see there are a couple AVMs in here, so if the customer is going in through the front page and they're putting in their own address, we're actually storing it here for this customer. So if they're logged into their account, they want to see what their property is worth on your website, you'll be able to see that they've checked on that here. And you'll also be able to produce those reverse prospecting reports for the properties that the customer has checked, in addition to the ones you add here on your own. If you would like to add one on your own, just click here on Create New Prospect Report, and you can type in an address. You can see it starts to autocomplete. I'll go ahead and pick something. There we go. It shows it on the map. And if I were to click Next Step, it would continue through and ask me if I want to email or just produce a PDF of this report, and then I'd be able to see the report for this property. So that is something you've always been able to do since the last video when we went over this. The piece that we added is that you can now search by these active listings. So if I search by active listings, choose a listing, in this case address or MLS ID, and it'll bring up all the matches here in the autocompleter. We'll go ahead and pick a listing. Again, it shows me where it is on a map. It's completely wrong in this case because this is all test data. Normally it will correctly show you where it is. And now we click on Next Step. That brings us here where we can change the heading in the top paragraph, like the introduction paragraph in the report itself. And we can change the actual paragraph. And you can see it's got some placeholders in here, so it'll fill with the seller name automatically, things like that. At this point, I can click on Email PDF Report, and I can put in the customer's email address and send them an email. Or, so that we can see the report, I will click on Download PDF Report. Thinks about it for a moment when it generates it. Click on Download, and there's our report. So in this case, there's no imagery for it because it's pulling this from Google Maps, and this is not a real property. So that's why Google's not going to have a picture of it. In fact, I would be very impressed if Google did have a picture of it. You can see it loads up the information. In this case, it doesn't have to load the information from public record. It's loading it from the listing. So because this is actually an active listing. And the rest of this, the report looks exactly the same. So you can see here, there is a representation of each of the customers that would be able to see this report or be able to get this property back in one of their saved searches. In this case, because this property is actually listed on the market, these are people that actually are getting this property back. So by extending the functionality here, you can still use it the way you could, where if you have a prospective seller and you can put in their address and you can get back an idea of everyone that would be interested in it, both for your own edification and for any kind of seller or listing presentation that you would have with that potential seller. Now you can have somebody who is a current seller and you can check their listing on the market, and you would be able to look here and see everybody that's actually interested in that, that's currently getting that back in their saved searches or their home finders. So there you have it. That gives you an idea of what the seller report does, as always. Thanks a lot for joining me. The seller report is something we're going to keep expanding on and constantly adding functionality to, so don't be surprised if here in a couple of weeks we end up with yet another reverse prospecting report video. So thanks a lot for joining me. Happy Halloween, everybody. Like I said, Halloween's tomorrow. And feel free to give us a call or send an email into support@deltagroup.com, or leave a comment on any of our videos if you have any questions about this or anything else, or any suggestions for new video topics, and we'll be happy to look those over. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.